So, hey Alec. So I know one of the things that is a big component of STAR is helping participants deal with and work through grief.
Yes, that's right.
And so I'd love to hear from you.
Well, the first thing is that grief isn't dealt with very well in our society. You know, if somebody dies on Friday, you're supposed to go to work on Monday. And in other cultures and societies, they allow much longer for grief to occur. So at STAR, we want to give participants an opportunity to deal with grief that they may not have in the outer world. Hospice and other places have grief groups, but they tend to be about death and the death of somebody who died in hospice. But grief encompasses much more than that. All loss involves change, and all change involves loss. And that's a basic principle with grief. So for instance, when you move, there are all kinds of losses and changes that take place, and especially for people who moved a lot when they were kids. And at STAR, we get quite a number of participants who moved a lot as kids. And when you're a kid, you don't have any control over where you move, when you move, and you're losing your house, you're losing your school, you're losing your friends, you're losing your landscape. You're pretty much losing everything you know except for your family. And it has a huge impact on your life, and you weren't in any power to control that. That's one example. Another one is, for instance, marriage involves some losses, and so does having children. There's a wonderful thing about marriage and a wonderful thing to have children, but when you have children, everybody knows this, you don't get to go out as much. You don't get to don't get to go to the movies, you don't get to do a lot of things because you have kids now. Now, you know, I'm not saying that one should grieve having kids, but one should at least recognize that some losses have taken place and that they don't feel good, and they should be talked about, and maybe some other things can take their place that give the parents a similar experience, such as binging on some series on Netflix instead of going to the movies. So we try to honor all kinds of different losses and changes, and you know, some of them are more obvious, like divorce. Certainly involves a lot of losses, a lot of changes. Death of a pet is another one. What people sometimes don't realize is that the death of a pet is very significant because the pet is living with you every day, and you see that dog or that cat or whatever every single day, whereas a distant relative, a cousin or something, might be somebody you see only once a year. Now the cousin's a human being and the pet is a dog, but imagine somebody who lives alone and their main companion in life is a dog or a cat. We once had a participant who I think was 34, and his cat died. His cat was 28 years old. He'd had that cat since he was 6. So there are lots of kinds of grief that people don't really realize. Many participants we give them a list of the different kinds of grief, and abortion. A lot of participants don't realize that, oh, that's something to grieve. You just sort of do it and don't think about it anymore. Or a miscarriage. So we try to expand the notion of grief, and we deal with it in a way in which everybody shares, and there's no feedback, there's no judgment, and we enable people to really experience what it's like to feel the loss, whatever it is.
So what I'm hearing you say is that grief is not just the loss of a person, but it encompasses all sorts of losses, whether it's a home, a job, a pet, also just emotional experiences or relationships that never were or never. So there's a whole lot of different aspects to it that we.
You mentioned relationships that never were. Sometimes people grieve the father or the mother that they never had.
Right.
And another thing that people realize that they need to grieve is the loss of their childhood.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have the childhood they deserved. And I can use one from my own experience right now, is I am deaf in my left ear, and I wasn't always deaf in my left ear, and the hearing in my right ear has deteriorated with age, and of all my bodily functions or losses that I've had at the age of 78, I don't move so fast, and all those things, but hearing is absolutely number one, because I used to just love to listen to music, and it's like listening to tinny speakers. Hearing aids are not like glasses. They cost a lot more and they don't work as well. These glasses give me 20/20 vision. Hearing aids don't give me anywhere near to that equivalent in hearing. And so besides just not being able to hear people as well, my enjoyment of music is limited now. I can only tolerate so much. And they don't, there's no point in me getting fancy stereo equipment anymore.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Alec.
Thank you.